Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Stepping Up to the Plate. So glad you could join us. I'm your host, Michael Vega, back from a sojourn to Texas, where I was able to visit with family and friends and was participated in the induction of my high school football team, Al, into the Rio Grande Valley Sports Hall of Fame. It was great to see everybody, to be with everybody down there, and to partake in that event. And it was one of those things where you kind of reflect on your football career. We had a lot of laughs, a lot of lies were told, but it was great. And now we're back at it here, back from our hiatus, back with my main man, Al Prizzuti. Al, great to be with you. Yep. So much to catch up on now because, you know, we're at close to the Midsummer Classic, the All-Star game. The Red Sox are kind of heating up, Al. 3 games above 500 right now. They've gone down to Washington, beat up on the Nationals so badly that the Nationals fired their manager and their general manager. I mean, it was an utter beatdown for 3 straight days. And then the Red Sox come back to face the Rockies, and it's more the same. Tuesday night, Brian Bello took the mound and threw a complete game. It was impressive. It was impressive.
The best start he's ever made.
Ever. Season high 10 strikeouts. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was striking out players. But his position was what won the game, where he was pitching to. He didn't throw anything right down the middle until the last inning.
He commanded. In fact, out for 3 1/3 innings, he was perfect. Yeah. On 35 pitches. It was unbelievable performance.
Well, that's why he went the distance. He had 81 pitches in the 8th inning.
Yes. I mean, come on. And there was no way Alex Cora was going to take him out at that point.
No.
But, you know, the other reason too, Al, that a lot of these pitchers have pitched well is that they received run support early. Wow. and massive run support. Yeah. 10 runs that the Red Sox have averaged, I think, in their last 5 games, correct? Am I not
wrong? Well, the worst game that Crochet has pitched, they got him runs, and he wins the game.
Right.
The games he's pitched really well, they don't get him runs. It's you know what? It's the way it goes.
But we've seen kind of a rebirth of the pitching staff here. You know, Crochet is who he is. He's established himself as the staff ace, and then you have Lucas Giolito coming off that injury, starting to kind of ramp things up. He unlocked something there. Walker Buehler was a guy who was really fighting to exist in baseball, you know.
And he lost his confidence. He even said,
totally
I don't
lost
even know
his
if
confidence.
I can pitch anymore.
And when you're at that point, you're not sure what you're going to get. But he had a great outing his last time.
He had
out.
a good outing. I wouldn't call it a great outing.
Well, I would call it great given what he's doing.
I mean, not quite.
But and he can improve too. Yeah. And then there's Bella, you know, and now you're going to get, you know, maybe Hunter Dobbins back, possibly Tanner Houck back, and then the Red Sox are going to be kind of like creating a bit of a log jam at DH in the outfield. Mazataka, Yoshida's coming back, and right now you've got guys, you know, your outfielders are like really producing. Wilyer Abreu, Cedar Rafaela,
he's the best.
Duran,
he's the best all-around outfielder, a player.
Oh,
he's a good hitter. He's
Rafaela.
A power hitter.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Abreu.
Abreu.
He's a great right fielder. He's got a great arm on top of it. I mean, you know, people don't talk about his arm, but he's very accurate. I mean, Cedar Rafaela is a streak hitter.
Yeah.
And he still swings at bad pitches. The other night he struck out on a pitch that was sweeping away from him by that much.
Yeah.
I mean, no, God. And the other kid, I think, is the one they're going to trade.
Duran.
And he doesn't have a lot of power this year. He really doesn't have a big average. He's hitting like in the 270 range, 265, 270. He's an average outfielder, but he's got great speed.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to want him, and that's the reason why I say he's going to be expendable, because the other guys, they're not going to trade Anthony. They probably wouldn't trade Abreu. Rafael, they could trade if something came up, but he doesn't have the same value as
well,
Durant.
The thing is that, you know, you're giving up a lot of speed on the base paths.
Yeah, but they got a lot of speed. I mean,
They still have speed, yes.
Yeah.
So if you're, you know, if you're the GM here,
yeah.
what are you wanting in return for?
Oh, I want to start. I want a pitcher. I want a 1 or a 2 back, probably a 2 because they figure Crochet's their 1. And they could go and they could do this. They could take Walker Buehler, okay,
Flip him.
flip him with
Duran.
Duran, and they're going to get a decent. And the Dodgers would take him back. I think the Dodgers had indicated that, geez, I don't understand why he's not pitching well. He was great in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But Walker Buehler and Duran going to the Dodgers, the Red Sox would have to look and say.
Well, the Padres evidently have had a number of scouts in the press.
Yeah, well, a
box
lot of people.
recently.
I mean, he's a guy that can change the complex of your team. You know, you got speed.
At the top of the
He
order,
goes
yeah.
from first to third. He goes from second to home as quick as anybody. And when he hits the ball down in the right field line, and it
it's a
swings
triple.
around that thing,
It's
he's a triple.
Yeah.
So he has significant value, but the Red Sox are loaded with potential star outfielders. So
Well, you know, what it smacks
Kinda
to
Wong
me,
could be
what it
thrown
smacks
in
to
there,
me,
too.
Al, is a big market team playing small ball, you know, in terms of paying Duran what he's going to be eventually worth. And they've allocated dollars to guys like Rafaela, to Christian Campbell, who's still languishing down in the minor, and then
that
you
was
know,
a mistake.
and the other one was to Devers.
Yeah,
To
but to give-
Devers, I mean, that's like a super max contract they gave him, you know.
But
and-
he you know, the Giants picked it up. He's not hitting very well out there, incidentally.
right.
So, and there was another controversy that Clark that came in to help him play first base, the Giants guy,
Will Clark.
and
yeah.
he shunned him. Now they said it might have been due to something else, but he didn't do it. And now he's out in San Francisco, and he is taking
Grounders at first.
grounders at first.
Right.
He's not a first baseman. He doesn't have the agility.
No.
When you see guys like Bregman was great on balls that came in just off the bat, not hard hit.
Yeah.
He comes in, he grabs it barehanded, throws to first base. That is not something that Devers could do.
Right.
And now you see this kid Maya goes to his left as good as anybody. He made a couple of plays the other night where the runner was coming down to second base. He wasn't going to get the guy at first base, but he caught the guy at second because he cut in front of the shortstop. Story is steady. You can say what you want about him, and
Well, you know, he's been injury riddled, Al,
he has.
and we have to take that into
I got to give Cora
account.
credit. I'm not a Cora fan, but I'll tell you, give him credit for sticking with
Yes.
Story.
Right.
And he kept saying, you know, he's a good clubhouse guy. He's a great athlete. He can do a lot of things. Every player goes through, except for Ted, goes through struggles. You know, it's interesting.
Never heard of him, Al.
I was listening to a thing, and I'm going to try. I'll probably give you but when they talked about the All-Star games,
Yeah.
and Williams said, you know, when we were kids, All-Star games meant something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Bob Costas, who was doing the interview, who I like, said, well, that 1941, when you were hitting 400, he said, that All-Star game, the American League was trailing 5-3, 2 outs, 2 runners on, and Red Barber was doing the game. And Red Barber says, and here comes the 400 hitter, Ted Williams, right? And Ted hit the home run. He hits a 3-run homer that almost went out of Tiger Stadium, incidentally.
Wow.
It hit the top facade. And he ran around the bases, and he was kicking, and he was so happy. And Costas said to him, why? Well, I mean, he said, because I was a kid.
Yeah.
He said, and the All-Star games back in those days meant something.
They mattered.
Today, it's an entertainment. The All-Star game's a joke. The Home Run Derby, people watch more than they watch the game.
Yeah.
And then there has to be a player from every team. Well,
Yeah.
that's another stupid thing. It's supposed to be
Do
the
you
best
think Wilyer
ball players.
Abreu should be an All-Star?
You know what? It wouldn't hurt to have a kid like Abreu out there because he does everything. He's a terrific ball player. I mean, again, another streaky hitter. If you look at him and you look at Story, they went through stretches where Abreu started the season up in the middle of 300, and then all of a sudden he's down at 265, but he kept hitting home runs. He's got 16, 17 home runs.
Inside the park home runs out. And a grand slam in that same game.
The Red Sox all can run. A lot of guys. Hamilton can run. Gonzalez can run. I mean, they've got some speed.
I think Anthony and Mayer can both.
Well, Anthony's a big. But and if they've got to stop with this, he hit a bullet to right center field the other night. It was a nice hit. It's 379 to the pole.
Yeah.
So if that ball was to the right of the pole and it went off that wall there, it didn't go out, incidentally, it's probably 420.
Yeah.
410.
Yeah.
That's not a rocket.
Duran hit one last night.
Duran hit one over the bullpen.
Over the bullpen.
That's a
456.
Yeah, that's a big hit.
Yeah. And Gonzalez had hit one 2 days earlier, I guess, 454.
Yeah. So I look at, and then we had this conversation before. I look at the Red Sox coming back. Well, they played Washington in Washington, bad team. They come here and they play Colorado, a worse team. Okay, have no pitching. So the Red Sox are hitting right now. Right. They're in a groove. It's easy to be in a groove against bad pitching. So I look at this and say, great, they won, and great, they're playing good now. Let's see what happens in August.
When the Rays and the Blue Jays.
When they're playing the better teams.
Right, and they'll be coming to town soon.
Yeah.
They'll be coming to town.
Give them credit for not folding.
Yeah.
Because now everybody's going, are we buyers, are we sellers? You know what? I think the Red Sox still need pitching, and they
have the wherewithal to make a deal to get some, I think.
Yeah, well, Aroldis Chapman could be in the mix too.
I don't want to see him go. I like him.
Well, everybody
I like him.
You know, he's
not
an all-star.
Not a lot of guys walking around that could throw 100 like him.
Well, you know what the big difference is when he was famous he walked a lot of guys.
Yeah.
He's not walking anybody.
A lot of pinpoint control out.
And
really,
imagine throwing the other night he threw one over the head.
Fear in the heart of a batter.
Reminds me of Ryan Duran with the Yankees, who wore glasses and threw high 90s, and he threw one over it went into the 20 feet above. Wow. I said, how do you stand up against, and he drank. How do you stand up at home plate against a guy who throws 100 miles an hour, wearing glasses, and drinks?
A drug driver. Oh my God. Oh no way.
Anyways.
Yeah. Well, Al, I thought of you when the NHL draft came about and the Bruins selected James Higgins. I was going to text you to see if you were doing cartwheels over that. Wow. The kid's a BC player, a gifted BC scorer. May wind up going back to school.
I'm not so sure he's as gifted. I mean, he didn't have as good a season last year. I think
he had like 37 goals in 39 games or something.
No. I'll tell you what. I went over to the development.
Did you?
And I sat there and watched. He's fast.
Shifty.
He's just a kid though. He's 5'10", 5'11", 175 pounds, but he's got he's only 18.
He has room to grow.
So the other kid, Leonardo, that they drafted last year, he's never going to make it. He's big, tall kid, 6'7", BC. He won't make it.
Okay.
They did okay in the draft. This kid was rated #1 for a long time.
Yeah.
And he dropped because he had an okay season, but other guys had better seasons.
Right.
So that's why he dropped. But to get him at 7th was a coup for the Bruins.
Yeah,
they need a center. He's a center. Some of the other guys they took, I think, are too early to tell, but they don't help you in the next 1 or 2 seasons because they're all young kids. I think they took 3 centers. The thing that I was surprised with some of these guys that they picked up.
Yeah.
And one of them, they paid a lot of money in 5-year deal. I figure.
Arvidsson?
No. I think he'll be okay. I like Corrali coming back because he's a fourth line Bruin.
Tanner Jeannot?
Huh?
Tanner Jeannot?
Yeah, Jeannot is not worth that money.
But he's the guy that can give you some snarl.
Well, yeah. You know what? But that doesn't win you. That might win you a game or two.
Yeah.
And the NHL for some reason lets guys hit and even do dirty hits in the playoffs, and that's why the bigger
it's amazing what they don't call in the playoffs.
And they call during the season. They don't call it during the playoffs.
It's the same thing in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah,
Al. The exact same thing. It just baffles me. But what I'm seeing now is a movement afoot by the Bruins to try and increase their physicality with guys like Taylor Jeannot. You got Nikita Zadorov coming back. You got Charlie McAvoy, hopefully healthy, and Hampus Lindholm. All these guys are big guys.
Hampus isn't a hitter, but I'll tell you what I think that they've done. Okay, they've built up their farm, which is one of the worst in the NHL. So they've got a lot of young guys that they're going to be looking at to say, in 2 or 3 years, these guys are going to be the guys that replace that. But they got to look at next year because they said they're not rebuilding. Swayman needs to come back at a better. Boosie's gone, incidentally.
Yeah.
He got picked up.
Yeah.
So now that's it, DiPietro, or if they get rid of Corpusalo, it's going to be Swayman and DiPietro.
Wow.
Okay. Now DiPietro had a great year last year, but anyways, Swayman's got to come back. Hampus Lindholm has to be the player he was 2 years ago, not last year. The other Lindholm had a pretty good record in the world hockey. Yeah, in the world hockey. Let's hope that he's back in the 25 goal range.
But he had an injury, Al, that we weren't really.
So we need to see that.
Yeah,
now, is this what guy are we going to get there? Forget Pasta because Pasta's the bigger. Now, the big thing that's going on now, and I think it's fascinating, is McDavid out in the Oilers. He's talking about next year his contract is up. He's talking about leaving. Ooh. The Bruins are in that conversation, incidentally. Mm. Now, what does that mean? My guess is that it could mean that Pasta is in that category.
They deal him.
Well, would you take Connor McDavid over Pasta? Yeah, I think everybody would.
Do you necessarily have to part with Pasta to get Connor McDavid?
You might have to. I mean, it depends on what Edmonton's looking and saying.
What about Swayman?
Well, they need Swayman. So it could be that they think DiPietro is better. If Swayman is so-so in the first couple of months again, then I think they could say Swayman, Pasta.
Corpusalo? They keep Corpusalo?
No. Well, Corpusalo's going to go. I mean, I think they want DiPietro and Swayman. If he goes, then you would have Corpusalo doesn't want to be a 20-game, 25-game goaltender. He wants to play 50-50. Yeah. He's not worth 50-50, although he was a better goalie than Swayman
last year. Yeah.
But, why they didn't go after Kreider, I don't know.
Yeah.
That to me was, he's a big kid. He's a strong kid. He's good on the power play. He's good on the draw. Yeah. That's what they need. They need two lines, and they don't have it. And Geeky,
they signed him. He proved himself.
Al, he proved himself when he got on the line with Pasta. So,
now they have a line there.
So what I'm saying is, let's see. I'm not one of these guys that say, okay, he did it, now he's going to do it for 5 years. Let's see what he does this year. If he scored 25, 30 goals, that's worth it. Yeah. That's worth it.
Well, the hope that Brad Marchand would somehow, some way, wind up coming back was kind of dispelled when the Panthers wisely extended.
Well, you see what happened. Why I was so upset that the Bruins let him go. First of all, legacy. The kid, 14 years with the Bruins.
Yeah.
But he's a great guy. He is in the clubhouse funny. He has snarl or whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely.
When he went down there, they immediately fell in love with him.
Yeah.
And the guys that he hated, Bennett loves him.
Loved him.
And the whole team did. Kachuk, Reinhardt,
Bennett.
Bobrovsky,
Yes.
Bennett, and Maurice.
Loves him.
And
How could
Sweeney's
you let
over
him
there
go?
going, I love the kid, but he let him go.
You know what? Lip service. Lip service, Don Sweeney. Don't talk. I don't want to hear his name come out of your mouth ever again. Really,
Well,
please.
Anyways,
Because the way they dealt him, they showed the behind the scenes look. The way they dealt him, it was like dispassionate. It didn't hurt him to do it. It really didn't.
But
And
I'll tell you what, I
issue
think
with
he
that.
thinks that he did for Marchand what he did.
Oh,
what
I
the
mean, did he have a
Bruins did
weepy
for
phone
Bork.
call with Marchand
No,
to say, "Hey, we're going to deal you to the
wanted-
Panthers"?
You got to remember one thing. Marchand was injured a couple of years ago. Remember with the
Yeah,
hips
the
and
hip.
everything. He didn't start well last year.
No.
He's 37 years old.
And they threw him in a position where captaincy, and it seemed like he was at odds with Jim Montgomery over his leadership.
Well, he was only there. Montgomery wasn't there for that long, and then
Well,
Joe
then-
Sacco loved the guy. But the point is, if I'm Sweeney, I could make the same mistake. And don't get me wrong, I was all for keeping Marchand, but I could see them saying he's 37 years old. He's been injured recently with the hips. He didn't have a good start. He didn't really have a great season. And he has a chance to win the Stanley Cup down there. We can get a first-round draft pick, which was stupid anyways, because it'll be the 32nd pick.
Right.
I kind of understand it. I wouldn't have done it, and now Toronto wanted him.
Unbelievable.
Everybody wanted him, and they wanted him. They gave him what, 6 years?
Yeah, 5 years. I think 5 years, 80 million.
I mean, he'll be
something.
42.
Yeah.
He's not a big guy.
He's probably not going to outlive that contract.
No, my guess is he'll play 2 seasons and say, "See you later."
Right.
But he could win another cup.
He could very well with that team, Al. I mean,
That's Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of
unbelievable.
Famer, anyways,
Unbelievable.
from this point on. And then Don Cherry said it best. The Conn Smythe Trophy should have went to Marchand, not to Bennett. And Bennett had more goals,
I
but
think
Marchand had more demanding, big-time goals. He won games.
Double
for them.
overtime game they won because of Marshy.
So,
I mean, even Bennett said we don't win this cup without
Right.
that guy.
So I think, but
I mean, yeah,
it is what it is.
it is. Al, and I look at the NBA playoffs and now off season and the draft completed. The Celtics drafting Hugo Gonzalez, a scorer out of Spain, a guy who's I think gonna do something here maybe. There's so many, but the complexion of this team was forever changed when Jason Tatum ruptures that Achilles tendon, and that was the sobering dose of reality that hit everybody in the immediate aftermath. And here it was, day one free agency. The first moves that Brad Stevens had to make was getting rid of salary. And he readily admitted that getting rid of Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis there were salary dumps. And then of course you lose Luke Cornett to the Spurs. I would have loved to have tried to keep him. And now the news that Al Horford's return is unlikely.
You know what though? He's
Al
39. Another guy.
Well, I don't. Al Horford to me is valuable.
Yeah,
He has
he's
his
valuable,
value. But Al, he played hard for a guy his age, deep into the playoffs, and was accountable. He posted. He was there, man.
Yeah, but he's a karma guy, like you said. He was there for a guy his age, for a guy his age. So I think somebody's going to pick him up and pay him a lot of money. The Celtics didn't want it. I hated to see Holiday go because he's a good all-around player, 3-4-time All-Star. Porzingis didn't bother me as much because he's brittle, but they got to get a big guy.
Porzingis literally and figuratively bled for this team, and I love that. And he smiled through that too. I mean, he was a fan favorite. Al, come on, man. How could you not love?
He was a good player.
How could you not love you some Kristaps Porzingis?
Give me a big guy that rebounds. I don't need a guy
he
who's
was
out
a
at the top of the key.
That's the thing.
Shooting threes.
Rim protection is going to be in the decline, I think, because you had both Luke Cornett, and you had Al Horford, and you had Porzingis, really stepping up as rim protectors.
Yeah. You see,
Namus Keita is a guy that's like left behind there.
You see who told Cornette to go?
Was it Danny Ainge?
White.
Oh, Derek White.
Because he played for
the Spurs. Well, he knew what a good
he said it's a good
organization.
place to go, a good organization.
It's a
and
good
Cornette said,
organization.
I listened to him. And
Well, you know what? The thing is that
He'll be
Greg
the next one.
Popovich is not going to be the coach there anymore. But
Yeah.
I think he'll be present in that organization.
Yeah.
He'll be, his presence will be felt. But you know what? They're going to be on an upside. Think about this. The teams that are going to be on the upward trajectory are all in Texas, Al. The Dallas Mavericks with Cooper Flagg, the Houston Rockets with Kevin Durant, and now you got Wembanyama, you got their first-round pick, Stephon Castle, Rookie of the Year, you got Luke Cornett, you got a great collection of players in San Antonio.
Yeah, but what's on top of them? What's
The
on
Thunder.
top of Texas?
Right, I know.
Oklahoma.
Baja Oklahoma, yeah, that's what they call Texas down there.
But anyways,
But,
look at
but you know what though, Al? They showed they were vulnerable too. They showed their vulnerability.
Oh, the Pacers showed that they're a better team than everybody thought they were.
And the travesty there is they're going to be without Halliburton for the entirety of next season.
Yeah.
And that's what's facing the Celtics now. But interesting. Al, in the last minute and a half, I wanted to also discuss Wimbledon, the great tennis tournament, the granddaddy of them all, I think, in the majors, with some stunning performances. Saddened to see Dmitry Grigorov, have to retire against Yannick Sinner, who was down 2 sets early, and then was in the process of possibly losing the third and getting sent out on a rail by Dimitrov. And
Dimitrov is one of the nicest guys. I mean, he everybody seems to like him,
and including Sinner.
He's injury prone.
Yeah,
and
which is sad.
Yannick Sinner was lucky to get through that. I look at it and I say Djokovic played an outstanding game against the kid that I thought was going to beat him. He was up 4-1. 4-1, this kid, with a chance to win that, and he loses 6-4.
Yeah.
I mean, hard to believe that somebody 37 years old could come back like he did. But
Al Horford could.
If it comes down to Djokovic and Alcaraz, because I think that's what's going to happen, and it might be Sinner, because hard to say that maybe the opponent that he played the other day, Dimitrov, knew how to play him. You never know in tennis.
And then Sabalenka on the women's side.
Yeah, but I think in Alcaraz and Djokovic, I think Alcaraz will win, although I've been a Djokovic fan my whole life. But on the other side, I hope Sabalenka wins, because I think she's the best. She actually practices with men.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
I mean, she hits harder than...
She hits hard.
She's a terrific player.
She is. She is. And we'll be rooting for her and for Alcaraz in the finals if they can get there, right?
Well, I'll be voting for Sabalenka and Djokovic.
Okay. All right, Al. Well, that'll do it for us. We're so glad to be back with you here. And we look forward to being with you here next time on Stepping Up to the Plate. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you then.